Hello and welcome to Temple Bethel's Erev Shabbat service. We're so glad that you can be with us tonight. My name is Nina. I'm the rabbinic intern. And of course, you know, senior clergy Cantor Fine.
Hello, everyone. Shabbat Shalom.
So we're so glad you're here. Make sure to greet each other in the chat and use those emojis throughout the service. And a reminder that the digital version pagination is the same as the print version. And tonight we're going to start on page 344 with Shir Chadash.
Join with us. Shiro l'Adonai kol haaretz, Shiro l'Adonai shir chadash, Shiro l'Adonai kol haaretz, Shiro l'Adonai shir chadash. Sing unto God, all the earth, a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God, and we'll all sing along. All the earth, a new song unto God. Shiro l'Adonai kol haaretz, Shiro l'Adonai shir chadash. I will sing unto God a new song.
And now it's my pleasure to invite Julie and Eric Kiesel to light the Shabbat candles.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us.
As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you,
Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who housed us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. A wonderful, warm way to start Shabbat.
How to bless yourself. If you are waiting for a spiritual leader to tell you, write what you need to hear and read it back to yourself and call it a blessing. Call the act of doing this a blessing. Call yourself a blessing. And on page 10, we sing together, Hine Matov.
Hine matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. 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 Hine matov u'manayim, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
And now we welcome the Sabbath bride on page 20 and 21. So we'll read verses 1 to 5 and rise for number 9 and face the entryway to your holy space.
And I invite you to join me in this melody that is sung in Rome, Italy. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ותפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה. סוף מעשה במחשבה תהילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי. אורי, אורי שדברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה. תוך אמוני ים סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
Please be seated as we continue with Shalom Aleichem on page 24.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchoni leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech malachei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Tzedchem l'shalom malachei hashalom malachei elyon mi melech malachei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu.
We continue on page 26 with Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Bi'amad yivrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon v'yomechon u'v'chayedecho beit Yisrael bagala u'vizman kariv ve'imro.
Amen.
Yesh me'Rabba mevorach le'olam ulam me'omaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbar v'yiromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha.
Brechu.
Berichu le'ela mincho bechata v'shirata tosh bechata v'nechemata damiran me'ama ve'imro.
Amen. Please rise and face east, turning to page 28 for the Baruch Hu.
Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 yai la la la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam vaed hamevorach leolam vaed.
Please join me on the bottom of page 31 for the Amos Oz reading, reflecting on the times and tides of a new month as we enter the new month of Tevet. I know that the tide is not an independent force, but merely the submission of the water to the movement of the moon and its orbit. And this orbit in its turn is subject to other orbits, which are mightier far than it. And so the whole universe is held fast in the clinging grip of strong hands, the forces of earth and sun, planets and comets and galaxies, blindly erupting forces, ceaselessly stirring in rippling of silence to the very depth of black space. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. And as we reflect on God's love, please turn to page 32 and join Cantor Fine in singing Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael amechavta Torah u'mitzvot hokim u'mishpatim otanu lemadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu בשוכבנו וקומנו, נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה. ואהבתך תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
We continue on page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Please join me on page 41, and then you'll join Cantor Fine on page 40. So let's read together. Sing the song of humanity, joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come. The song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more. The song of a world redeemed, the song of peace.
Ya ba ba bim bim bam, ya ba ba bim bam, ya ba bim bim bam, ya ba bim bam, ya la 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 la, ya ba bim bam, ya la 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 la, ya ba bim bam. מי כמוך בעלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקי הים לפני משה ומרים, זה לי אנו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. היי יבבה בים בים בם, יבבה בים בם, יבבה בים בים בם, יבבה בים בם, לי 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 לי, יבבה בים בם, לי 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 לי, יבבה בים בם. כי פד אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
Please join me in the middle of page 43. Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours.
At the top of 42. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, vehamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, vehamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, vehamidenu shomreinu lechaim, vehamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Oshmor tzedenu, ovoenu, lechaim o shalom me'ata ve'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, vehamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, vehamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, vehamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hamidenu shomreinu lechaim.
As guardians of Shabbat, let us all join together for Vishamru on page 44.
Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Please rise as you are able for tefillah, beginning on page 46 through page 52.
Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Svatai tiftach. Na 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 Ofi Agid. Ofi Agid Tehilatecha. Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Svatai tiftach. Na 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 Ofi Agid. Ofi Agid Tehilatecha. Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Svatai tiftach. Na 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 Ofi Agid. Ofi Agid Tehilatecha. Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Svatai tiftach. Na 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 Ofi Agid. Ofi Agid Tehilatecha. Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Svatai tiftach. Na 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 Ofi Agid. Ofi Agid Tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor Vanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim Vekonei Hakol Vezocher Chasdei Avot V'imahot Umevi Geola Livnei Vneihem Leman Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer Moshia Umagen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah Ata gibor le'olam Adonai Mechaye hakol ata rav lehoshia Mashiv haruach umorid hagashem מחכה לחיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Please be seated as we continue with tefillah together on the top of page 55. Please join me. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat. And on page 56, Cantor will lead us in Ritzeh.
Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu be'amecha Yisrael u'tefilatam be'avav tekabel u'tehi leratzon tamid avodat Yisrael. Yisrael Amecha El Karov Lecho Kore'ah Penei El Avadecha V'choneinu Shefach Rochacha ותחזינה עינינו בשובך לציון. ברחמים ברוך אתה אדוני המחזיר שכינתו לציון. לציון.
feeling so thankful, for the vaccines have begun. And I just want to say that out loud and invite you to share things that you are particularly thankful for. Share them with each other in the chat. And I invite you to join me on the top of page 59. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us, so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth, which day by day sustains us. For all these things and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha, ulacha ne'eh lahodot.
We continue with Shalom Rav, this prayer for peace, and as Nina mentioned, with the vaccines here, this added step of hope and of peace and peace of mind as we think of this going forward. Join with me in Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata melech adom lecho shalom. Ki ata melech adom lecho shalom. V'tov beinecha levarech et amecha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Baruch atah Adonai Oseh Shalom.
With shalom still reverberating all around us, I invite you to spend some time in silent prayer and either reflect on the words on pages 62 and 63 or the meditations of your heart. And then we'll join together on the bottom of 62 for Oseh Shalom.
Oseh Shalom bimromav, Hu yaseh Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, Amen. Oseh Shalom bimromav, Hu yaseh Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. And now we have a blessing, a simcha. I love that there are simchaot all through the year. We've been having many blessings, and so I'll ask Julie and Eric Kiesel to unmute, and there they are. How are you? Mazel tov. They are celebrating 34 years together. So we wish them a mazel tov, and I have both a blessing to read and a prayer and a blessing to bestow upon you. So these words, take them in on this moment. You can hug, you could like maybe hold hands. You don't have to. It always looks good on screen. Okay, so Mikor HaChaim, source of life. We come to celebrate this couple, Eric and Julie, life partners of 34 years. May you continue to honor one another, to support one another, to laugh and cry and celebrate with one another. May you never forget the gift of finding your Beshirt, the one person that you were meant to be with. May each day and each moment be a blessing for you. And we all say together, Amen. And so now I'm going to ask you to bow your heads a little bit while I bless you in the threefold benediction. Yivarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yechoneka. May God's face always be lifted up to you and give you comfort. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Shalom. May God's light always shine upon you, and may you now and always have peace. Amen. Amen. And we sing as a community, Siman Tov Mazel Tov. Siman Tov Mazel Tov Mazel Tov Siman Tov Siman Tov Mazel Tov Mazel Tov Siman Tov Siman Tov Mazel Tov Mazel Tov Siman Tov Yelanu 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 Oleko Yisrael Yelanu Yelanu Oleko Yisrael Yelanu Yelanu Olecho Yisrael Yelanu Yelanu Olecho Yisrael Mazel tov.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So wonderful to see you both.
Mazel
Thank you.
tov.
Thank you, Rebbe. Thank you. Thank you, Cantor.
And now we continue with our sermon for the evening, and I am honored to invite our rabbinic intern, my friend, and congregant, Nina King-Madlin, to share some words on this interesting, as always, Torah portion.
Thank you, Cantor Fine. Tonight, I want to speak about our American family as we near the end of what has been a remarkable year, both for the tragedies we've suffered as well as the resilience we have shown. I read so often that we are divided, polarized by dismissing each other as unintelligent or snooty, overly sensitive or callous, traitorous or patriotic. We have broken relationships that are not functioning due in large part because we don't trust each other. I'm not proposing that everyone agree about everything, but I do think there are merits to admitting that we are in this together. I think there is a value in acknowledging the ways in which these divides have damaged relationships and eroded trust within communities, friend groups, and families. We have a lot of work to do if we want to continue as an American family. If we cannot rebuild these relationships, we will be stuck in our silos where our own voices are echoed, the interest of others ignored, and shared goals cannot be worked out. To clarify, I'm not suggesting tolerance for bigotry or views that deny the lived experience of others. I'm a firm believer in boundaries. I am suggesting that the possibility of reaching common goals increases when we work together. This possibility is threatened without good relationships. I know that when I am called to meet others where they are, I need my empathy to understand how they arrived at their worldview. Being told you're wrong doesn't build relationships where people can grow. I'm suggesting that there is merit in trying to have as many healthy relationships as we can that are built on trust and respect. It is not morally sound nor productive to simply dismiss someone with whom you don't agree. Not only will it make being productive difficult, but it also won't be very pleasant. Life is hard enough. I don't need to be dismissed. And I don't want to use my life force to dismiss others. It's challenging work to try to understand others and the story that brought them to where they are. I do it when I have the energy, and it's not easy. In challenging times, I look to our tradition for guidance. This week's Torah portion continues a narrative that includes a complicated and dysfunctional family. Miketz follows Joseph's dream interpreting, his rise to power in Egypt, and the encounters with his brothers during the crisis of famine. The text focuses on the men in this family and the ways in which they are dealing with the dysfunction that has been created by all of their unresolved grief, lies, and betrayal. This family is in crisis, living in a community in crisis. Under the pressure of famine, their dysfunction becomes evident. These men do not trust each other. So what can we learn from Jacob and his sons about how to strengthen trust? The narrative includes a complicated set of tests devised to determine trustworthiness. Joseph accused his brothers of being spies and devised a plan to keep Simeon as a kind of ransom in order to get the family to bring Benjamin to Egypt. All of this during a famine where the brothers must travel to buy food. This portion gives many examples of how this family is dealing with their brokenness and how these examples of betrayal and mistrust have not served them. Jacob does not trust his remaining sons to protect Benjamin. Joseph does not trust his brothers, and the brothers don't trust the Egyptian despite their dependence on him for their survival. I would argue additionally that they don't trust themselves to take responsibility for their actions and to be honest. We can learn as much from their dysfunction as anything. We can read this as a cautionary tale about what happens when we are dishonest and how this sows distrust and breaks down relationships. Not being honest with each other or with themselves really impacts their ability to make good decisions. We don't read the rationale for all their actions, but it seems clear that they are motivated by the need to have their most basic needs met. They are starving. This striving to meet their basic needs is forcing them to be in proximity to each other. It is clear that they are not initially interacting for the sake of personal or spiritual development, but the sake of their survival. How could they mend their brokenness even in the midst of desperation? I wonder at many points in this narrative how things would have been different if they were more honest about their actions and their feelings. We too are a community in crisis. The crisis of COVID-19 has shown a light on many areas of our society that are unjust, a reality that some have known all their lives, and for some, an injustice that is new information. As a country, we are facing a reckoning with our racist history and institutions. Food banks, hospitals, aid agencies are overwhelmed in trying to meet our basic needs. We are challenged to both see the individual and work to improve and sometimes reinvent these institutions. Lasting and meaningful solutions to these and other challenges we face require us first to build relationships based on trust. It is my fervent prayer that this will be the catalyst to move towards rebuilding relationships. Trust is an essential foundational element in engaging in difficult conversations. And this country has no shortage of tough conversations which need to be had. These are tough conversations even for people who essentially agree with each other. All the tougher for those who feel that they are at odds. We as Americans need to find ways to increase trust so that we can talk to each other about the things that matter, our shared humanity, our children, and our future. Let us not be like the men in Miketz, avoiding the difficult topics. I feel like I say this every time I'm asked to speak on a Friday night, so I'll say it again. It's okay to be uncomfortable. We can do it together. I'm inviting you to engage in a kind of bravery that makes you feel vulnerable and calls you to show up for others and yourself in a way that helps all of us grow. Part of showing up is being benignly curious for the sake of understanding. First about yourself and then about others. Part of showing up is about listening, first to yourself and then to others. And part of showing up well is knowing when to stop talking and really listen. Brene Brown, in her book, Dare to Lead, talks about the elements of building trust and uses an analogy from her daughter's life about trust in relationships being like marbles in a jar. Each marble represents a specific behavior that grows trust between people. Trust is not built with one big heroic act or a social media post. Marbles in the jar are added each time we listen to each other, show up for each other, when we respect each other's boundaries, when we do what we say we're going to do, when we listen without judgment, and when we don't gossip. You can probably think of other actions that put marbles in the jar, increasing trust. It is that jar of marbles that represents the trust between people that is the foundation on which these tough conversations can be had. In this way, we can disagree with each other, but not diminish each other. We need a lot of marbles in the jar right now. This is our challenge as we work to keep each other safe over the winter, getting everyone vaccinated, and continuing to work in all of our own best interests. So how to start? Well, for me, this requires connecting to my Jewish values, that each person is made in God's likeness, and as such has the potential to reflect their divinity in the world. A part of the Hasidic tradition places a great import on tikkun hanefesh, repairing one's soul, before tikkun olam, repairing the world. For me, this means I need to take good care of myself. I pray, meditate, exercise, sleep, explore my inner life to discover where I need to be more honest with myself so that I can uncover my sacred reflection. I need to do this before I can go out into the world to try to encounter your sacred reflection, to listen without judgment, and to be empathetic. I can't do this with everyone. There are some conversations in which I cannot engage. They are too psychologically costly or they hurt too much. And there are certain circumstances and conversations I must take on because it's too difficult for someone else. These are just a few of the considerations that are part of my looking inside. I need to look inward before I can reach out to people with whom I don't agree. I also strive to be open to learning new ways of building trust and building relationships. I'm really curious about what things you'll need to be ready to enter into the work of building trust. What are the values which you return to inform your decisions? This is a big challenge, but not doing it isn't working. Ignoring people I don't agree with won't solve our problems. Reaching out with curiosity and empathy to mend broken relationships based on trust is the foundation I believe we need to do the work of repairing our broken world. And now I would like to invite Aaron Peterson, president of our congregation, to say a few words of welcome and announcements.
Well, Shabbat Shalom. And Nina, I'm not sure how I follow on that one. That was just a wonderful, wonderful speech. Thank you for that, delivering that. And you're really growing into a rabbi. You're no longer a rabbi intern. You're growing into a real full grown-up rabbi. Thank you so much for that. But Shabbat Shalom to also everybody else. It's really great to be able to gather, even if it is from our individual homes, or it's nice to have Cantor certainly in the sanctuary so we can all still see the sanctuary. I know we love that, and to pray certainly that 2021, we have the vaccines coming, we will get back and we will be in together again. But it is so nice to still be able to gather with each other to sing and to pray. And I especially really like lighting the Shabbat candles during this darkest time of year. There's just some great symbology to that. And thank you to every single one of you who's joining us this evening here on Facebook, or pass on the word for those who we have a smaller group, but pass on the word. If you're not much of a Facebook person, or you know somebody who just doesn't do Facebook, we're also available on YouTube as well. So you can also watch these services on YouTube. But thank you also to Cantor Fine, just wonderful music, and Mazel Tov to Julie and Eric. But we have a whole lot more opportunities to gather over the next few weeks, or at least what I'm doing is just this next week. So we have a lot going on. But all these events, except for the Friday evening services, will be on Zoom. And the only place you can find the links, the Zoom links, web links, will be in the Shabbat Shalom email, and that's sent out every Thursday. So tomorrow morning, as we do every Saturday morning, even ever since I was looking back, since March, we've been doing these since March. It's kind of crazy, but we will have a Shabbat Torah service and a Torah study tomorrow morning. It's going to look a little different tomorrow than we've seen. For anybody who's been there, it's going to be a little different. So the difference is going to be, first just say, everyone, please join us. If you haven't come in a while on a Saturday, come join. It's a great group. We're always much, double minyan easily. But what's changing tomorrow is that we will have Torah study. This is kind of going back to the pre-COVID days. We'll have Torah study with Cantor Fine. That'll begin at 9 a.m. and that'll go to 9:45. And then at 10 o'clock, we'll begin the services. And we're going to try for more of a quote unquote Temple Bethel traditional pre-COVID, kind of harking back to the days of pre-COVID as far as that longer length service and adding in some of the prayers that have been taken out. We've tried to make that service shorter. So we'll see if we can handle more than an hour and a half that we've been told by everybody. That's about all anybody can handle. So we'll see if we can handle more than that. But then following the service, you'll have an opportunity to schmooze and catch up with all the fellow worshipers, since that is on Zoom, and that's a lot of fun. Tomorrow night, Zoom Havdalah will be at 7:30. Join to say goodbye to the Shabbat and schmooze with your fellow community members. Also tomorrow night, and unfortunately at the exact same time as Havdalah, is a virtual production. This is being put on by the Tacoma Little Theater, titled Hanukkah Lights in the Big Sky. This is a production is actually being directed by Melanie Gladstone, who's a regular attendee at our Saturday services. This is available on YouTube, is how they're going to be making that available. So you can watch for free on YouTube. So you can go to Havdalah, and maybe on Havdalah, they'll just share the video, YouTube video. Maybe that's what they'll have to do. Temple Bethel, so that's it for the events. But we, again, like I said, we're looking to reopen. We're working on plans, but right now we are where we are. We're staying safe. We are in stage bet, but we've modified that So there's no in-person meeting right now allowed with clergy or staff during this modified code restriction. And that just started, and will follow the same restriction the governor put in place up until at least January 4th, and we'll reevaluate at that time. We do have staff members in the office, and they're there Tuesday through Friday, that regular hours, but it is only one staff member at a time. They're working that staggered schedule. Otherwise, they are also working from home. But please, no drop-ins. You won't be allowed in the building at this time. And as far as the transition stuff, again, a big thank you to everyone who took the time to attend one of the community meetings or filled out the transition survey. We had well over 210 people take place in either one of those. Rabbi Flash, who is our consultant, was also our high holiday rabbi, but just working as our consultant right now, is working on compiling and summarizing all of the comments and feedback. She's also reviewing and researching other temple models. So we can kind of look, that's the whole idea behind, a lot of the idea behind the transition was to look at other models and other ways that we could have our temple be staffed. So this is again going to be presented to the transition committee later this month. And then it'll go to the board for approval. Those recommendations, that's going to be in early January. The report itself will be provided to the community for review. And we'll also have a special, so pay attention, a special congregational meeting later in January or early February to present the findings, present the report and the recommendations of the committee and the Board of Trustees. And as I like to say every week, and as I try to make sure that all the board members say, if you're in need of help or willing to help, please reach out. And I'm serious, please reach out to Temple clergy staff or leadership. We're there to help you. And Shabbat Shalom, please stay safe and healthy. And sounding like try to stay dry this weekend too. I think we're gonna get a lot of rain. So back to you, Nina and Cantor.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom, Aaron.
Shabbat Shalom, Aaron. And I see Shifra and Anna back there too. I'm so glad to see you. As we prepare for Misha Berach, I invite you to add into the chat people who are especially in need of our healing prayers. And I just want to add to that. I'm feeling so much empathy for all of our caregivers in skilled nursing facilities, in hospitals, in homes, just the tremendous work that is, and that they need our support and love.
And I'm thinking of people who have come down with COVID the last 2 weeks. In Washington State, there were almost 6,000 new cases in one day on December 7th. And then it went down to 1,200, but then it spiked back up to 5,300 people on another day. And so even with the vaccine, the infections continue. In the US, there have been over 200,000 per day over the last 2 weeks. And in the world, there are still over 400,000 people a day for the last 2 weeks that have been infected. And so I'm thinking of all of them on this Shabbat. It weighs heavily, and we must not forget that we're still in the pandemic, but we are hopeful. So please share your names as we sing together Misha Berach, page 253. Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing, with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Please rise for Aleinu on pages 282 and 284.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושבי קברו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום מחשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת, אין עוד, אין עוד.
And please turn the page back to 283 at the very bottom and join me. We seek God as a partner in every significant act. We invest our deciding and doing with direction, worth, hope, and in failure, the possibility of repair.
Page 287. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
As we prepare for Mourner's Kaddish, I offer this reading, Life After Death. These things I know, how the living go on living, and how the dead go on living with them, so that even in a forest, even a dead tree casts a shadow, and the leaves fall one by one, and the branches break in the wind, and the bark peels off slowly, and the trunk cracks, and the rain seeps in through the cracks, and the trunk falls to the ground, and the moss covers it. And in the spring, the rabbits find it and build their nest inside the dead tree, so that nothing is wasted in nature or in love. And join Cantor Fine on page 294.
I'll ask first to rise those who have lost someone in the past day, weeks, or month. And next, I ask those to rise who are observing a yahrzeit on this Shabbat. And then I ask all of us to rise for those who have died of COVID. In the last 2 weeks in the world, there were 7 days straight through of people, of over 10,000 people who have lost their lives, and 7 days of over 5,000 people who have lost their lives. In the US, there have been over 1,000 people who have died daily, and up to 3,000 for 3 days in a row. And in Washington State, there have been 253 deaths in the last 2 weeks. To their names, we add the names of those whose yahrzeit falls on this Shabbat, and we remember with love. Gail Alanick, Marge Appel, Frida Aqua, Warren Bard, Samuel Brotman, Richard Burnett, David Carrick, Sylvia Charnes, Lorena Di Quattro, Milton Doctor, Morton Eisen, Dorothy Epstein, Ben Etzekson, Solomon Farber, Judith Frankel, Miriam Goldstein, Theodore Teddy Hermelin, Wayne Hollingsworth, Val Hubbard, Lizzie Kaplun, Norman Kleinman, Catherine Leary, Betty Leonard, Robert Madlam, Aileen Margulies, Luella Melton, Carol Morrison, Ray Ostro, Eugene Peace, Evelyn Roderick, Esther Rosen, Marilyn Sachs, Gary Staymeisen, Joseph Sussman, Frank Sussman, Dorothy Ward, James Webb, Matthew White, Bluma Udelson. We rise as a community and we think of all those who have no one to say Kaddish for them as we say together, Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrach hirutei v'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon, u'v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehe shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudusha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehe shlama Rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. We say zichronam livracha, may their names and their light and their blessing always be for a blessing. And we say, Amen. Please be seated.
And I have the honor to thank everyone for being here tonight, for all of you out there pooling your energy together. And thank you for the Kiesels for sharing your special Simcha with us, and to Aaron and to Debbie, who you can't see, but you can hear.
He's over there.
She's over there. And of course to you, Cantor Fine.
And to you, Nina, what a beautiful, beautiful sermon this evening. It really gives us something to think about. So thank you.
Thank you.
And we're going to conclude with Salam, with this prayer asking for peace in Hebrew and in Arabic. And it was written by Jewish and Arabic musicians seeking peace. And so we join together as we search in our world for more peace and more connection. Join with me. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, ve'al kulam salam. Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam, salam, salam, salam. Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam, salam, salam. Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, ve'al kulam. Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, ve'al kulam. Salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam, salam, salam, salam. Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam, salam, salam. Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, ve'al kulam.
And we'll do Kiddush on page 5 and then go back to Motzi on 302.
Please rise and join me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'ratzon inchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit Ki hu yom tehila lemikra kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim Ki vanu vacharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha ve'ahava u'v'ratzon hinaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-shabbat l'chaim. And we join together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon. B'tei avon, a good meal, and Shabbat Shalom to our community and our community worldwide.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.